I am not joking about that whole April just disappearing thing. They'll be like, do it. Do it. And you're like, okay.
Greetings all and welcome to Coaches Convos, a podcast dedicated to sharing your stories and information about Coaches College. This is episode 2 of Coaches Convos Quarantine Edition, where we will be sharing your stories as Coaches College students and alumni and how you've managed to adjust during the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, my guest is Athena Reynolds, who's a Coaches College graduate with a degree in business administration, and she's going to be sharing her experience managing school and mental health during the lockdown. Athena, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, Summer, thank you so much for having me.
Yay! I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. So in general, how has quarantine been for you? And are you quarantined with anyone or are you by yourself?
Well, I have a 50-50 custody case with my ex-husband. So my son is with me every other week. But besides that, it's just me and Lex. And just, staying in quarantine, staying safe.
Staying safe. Staying home is the new cool thing to do, right?
It is. Keep other people safe.
Exactly. Staying lit at home. So what has been with quarantine, it definitely comes with its whole string of challenges. And like you said, with your situation, sometimes you have Lex with you and sometimes you don't. But what has been one of the main challenges just in general during quarantine? And this can be personal, this can be professional, this can be academic, any type of those topics.
Well, for me, one of my biggest, not so much issues, but just kind of something that's been a small irritant is that I am a very big introvert, and my son is the most charismatic little extrovert little child that you could ever meet. And he is the light of my life, and I love him so dearly, but sometimes he just talks and mom, and like I as an introvert need some time to myself to like just gather energy. So when he just wants to have my attention all the time and like sit in my lap constantly, and I'm just like, space child, I love you.
And that's hard too, because it's like you're trying to figure out ways to recharge, but yet still be present, because it's isolating when you're stuck in, the same, roughly maybe 500 square feet space.
It is, yeah. And for my son, he doesn't like to be more than 20 feet away from me at any time. So I'm like, oh my goodness, like at least go play in the other room. And I mean, I love it. I love that I'm graduated now, and I have the time that I can sit down and I can play video games with him, and I can read books with him and play Legos, because we have built so many Legos. It's amazing.
Gotta love Legos.
Yeah, you do. And it's just, he craves people. He wants to be around people right now, and he is only 8. He'll be 9 in July, and he just doesn't understand the whole situation yet. And I've tried to like kid-proof it for him and let him know that it's a virus and that it's like scary, but it's not something we should be worried about if we're cautious. So we stay home, we wash our hands, we wear masks when we go out, like to protect others as well as ourselves. There's only so much that you can do as a parent just to prepare your kid for like a pandemic. Like we didn't have a pandemic when we were kids. It's just insane to try and explain this to a child.
Exactly. Especially, when we're all trying to figure it out at the same time, which is kind of the spooky bit. Yeah, because even for us as adults, it's something that's very scary and very overwhelming, and let alone to have to explain that to your kids. I can imagine that's gotta be hard, because you gotta hold yourself together and you gotta help them too.
You do, because you have to try and make it serious, but not like as serious as it probably is, because if you do that, then you just install this sense of anxiety in them, and my kid's already a little anxious guy like I am. I unfortunately passed my anxiety down to my kid. But it's a difficult thing to do, to talk to an 8-year-old about like a virus that you can't see, and you just have to act like everybody could have it and wash your hands and stay away from people.
But how is it managing not only your coursework online, but also your son and helping him through that?
Oh my, all I can say is that was pure chaos. I don't even know where April went. Like I blinked and it was gone. Poof, it just disappeared. But for me, it was fairly difficult. I had a student aid job in the library that I so loved. Oh, it was my heart job right there. I love working in libraries. It's just amazing. And so when the college shut down, I unfortunately was laid off. Like as much as I understood that, I was heartbroken over the loss of like an amazing job. So when quarantine came and all of my classes went online, oh yeah, let's just say that was like a little harmful to my mental health, because I went from my best learning mode, which is the lecture with the teacher standing in front of you and drawing out stuff on the board and answering questions, to my worst mode of learning, online internet things and calculus, which my last semester was like my hardest, like filled with 3 math classes, Spanish, and then a geography. I literally spent just weeks at a time on my computer, on my classes, trying to learn the material. And since I had a child at home, it was really hard to get work done. So I usually would do a lot of my work at night. And so I ended up pushing my work till later in the afternoon. And then I would stay up until like 3:00 in the morning. And then when they closed down the schools for my son, that was just insane. Like, just giant weight just dropped onto me because now I had this 8-year-old child doing 3rd grade work, and we had to pick up these like big packets of work that he was supposed to be doing during the week. And I was having to do all my homework, and I was having to be like, do your homework. And he'd be like, no, because, you know, he's 8. My kid is so smart. His teacher knows it. I know it. Like his dad knows it. He just has these moments of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not going to do it anymore. And you're like, no, like, come on, just try. And if you get frustrated, move on to a new topic. And I tried to like be that example too, because I'd be like, calculus, and then like, he'd be like, it's okay, Mom. He'd pat me on the shoulder or something. And I'm like, oh, see, okay, my parenting is working. Thank you. Because like I would do the same thing when he would get frustrated with his math. So when I was having to do all of my work for 5 classes, which was just insane once it became all my responsibility with like barely any help, because they did do the tutoring centers online after a bit, but after that certain point, I had been doing my work really late, and then I would like get up and help my kid with his schoolwork in the morning. But the time I'd get around to mine, like the tutoring labs I didn't bother them because it was after 5 usually when I would get on mine. So that was just anxiety inducing and incredibly hard. I am not joking about that whole April just disappearing thing. I'll be like, do it. Do it. And you're like, okay. Like
these analogies are amazing.
Right? Well, that was my life, honestly. It was just a lot of like panic, and then my brain was like, get it done. And you're like, okay. I have this kind of philosophy where like I have hope. I'm like, okay, I see it. It's in the distance over there. Like I can get to it. I just got to keep moving. Like, don't stop. Just keep moving. And so I would keep going. And I like, okay, I got this assignment done. I got this assignment done. I'd feel kind of hopeless sometimes because it just felt like I had like this huge stack of like papers. So I'd write on Post-its like, hey, here's what I needed to do. And so I'd cross them off, which was really great for like my anxiety because I'd be like, oh, see, I am getting stuff done. It took me 3 days after finals to stop being in panic mode. Like after my finals, I was like, gotta keep going. And then I'm like, wait, there's nothing to do. Like, I'm done. I got it. I'm good. I mean, I still help my kid with his homework, but like mine was just done. So that huge weight was lifted. Somehow I managed to get 3 A's and 2 B's. Which I'm glad because, it kept up my PTK status of my GPA being pretty good.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, and that's amazing too because it's so challenging to be able to juggle all that, and especially for you, you've been in college for about 2 years now, if I'm correct.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah.
2.5 years, and you did summer
Spring.
courses and spring. So you didn't take a break the entire 2.5.
No breaks. Full time, straight through.
Right?
Yeah, I started in the spring of 2018 and I took 4 classes and I was like, okay, I'm terrified. This is new. It's a brand new change. Like I basically just wanted to reinvent my life because I had 3 part-time jobs and barely any hours and I wasn't able to keep up on bills with 3 jobs. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I'm a single mom. I shouldn't have to work 3 jobs to not even make it. Like I still had to go around and get like food stamps and things like that because I was just that poverty level poor. So I decided, like, okay, let's do this. And I was scared to death because I'm like, this is a big change. And I'm just jumping. I just jumped right into the deep end with full-time classes. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I love this. It like coming to college, it made me come into my own. Because I got out of a relationship that was just really, really terrible. And at the end of that relationship, I kind of lost who I was. Like, I didn't know who I was anymore. And when I got into college, I kind of like found myself again and realized, oh, I love school. I've always loved school. Like, yeah. And that first semester, I ended up, I think, with all A's. And then I got like on the dean's list that was like, hey, you got a like 4.0, like congratulations. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I love this. Let's do it. And now I'm done, which I'm so grateful for because it's amazing. But like, I was a little crazy. Yeah.
I mean, just a little crazy.
Just a little. But, as many times like as I had people trying to discourage me and be like, oh, well, maybe you should get a job and like slow down on your classes and whatnot. Like, I have a degree now. I have the option of having a job that I can actually support myself and my son without the extra financial aid that I was receiving.
That's wonderful. Speaking of which, let's jump right in. What tips do you have for keeping yourself motivated to jump on to the next task and to get things done?
My life's philosophy is that you just got to keep moving, because even if you're moving slower than molasses, you're still moving toward your goal. And I always had this fear that if I had stopped, I would sink. So it's kind of like I was slogging along in like this deep mud and I'm keeping myself going. And if you stop, you're just going to sink. And then if you sink too deep, you're never going to get out of that. I did the same thing with my schoolwork. I'd be like, hey, you know what? Like, don't let it pile up because you're going to be like here with the homework. So I would treat it like stepping stones. I'd be like, wait, this and this and this. And I got my homework done. Honestly, do whatever you need to do to keep yourself motivated. Find an independent space that is quiet. I had a Pandora station that was instrumentals for studying. That was the best. I drank entirely too much caffeine, but it got me through. As for mental health, I reached out. I talked to my therapist because I had some issues. Like after I graduated, honestly, I got a little depressed. It was kind of like, yay, you did it, but there's nothing to like prove that you did it. And I also couldn't go and look for a job because everything is closed and people are unemployed. And I just talked it out and had my feelings validated. And she's like, of course you're depressed. Like, you worked 2.5 years for something and basically had it taken away. Not being afraid to ask for help, because there were many times, especially even for homework, I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what is the squiggly? Like I said with calculus, I'm like, what does this sign mean? And I did a lot of like YouTube videos, like Khan Academy, best resource ever.
So thank you, Athena. Before we head out, I do have one more final question for you. What would be your advice to give to someone who's struggling with quarantine or social distancing and also trying to manage their other responsibilities like their job or their academics?
Just know that every hard life part doesn't last forever. I honestly think that we will get through this as a group. So just reach out to your friends. Talk to them, text them, call them, video chat with them. Just try and do what you need to stay sane. It might seem like it's going to go on forever and ever and ever, and that like life is never going to be the same. And yes, while life might never be the same, it will get better than this. We will be able to have jobs again. We will be able to see our friends again.
Athena, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. It was a pleasure getting to chat with you as always.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was very fun.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening. If you've been tuning in, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you hear. And be sure to hit the little bell icon below the subscribe button for post notifications so you get a notification every time you post. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.